Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to KA Radio, where each page of a book and each video serves as a bridge that brings us closer to our own comprehensive development. Today, let's sit back, relax, and reflect on a special book in KA Radio's autobiography collection, Educated by Tara Westover. This is not just a story, but also a journey of discovering inner strength, like a gentle remedy for the prickly challenges of life. Try asking yourself, if you knew life would be full of challenges before stepping into it, would you be ready to face them? And if fate dealt you cards you didn't choose, not being able to pick your family, not being able to change your background, how would you live? Tara Westover answered those questions with her own life. She recounts the journey of overcoming adversity. From a girl who grew up in a family that didn't allow her to attend school to becoming a scholar at the University of Cambridge. The barriers, the wounds from old beliefs, could not stop her steps in opening the door to freedom. Education became the key, offering her independence, happiness, and a meaningful life. Educated immediately captivated readers worldwide, making it onto the New York Times bestseller list and being honored by Time magazine. Bill Gates, in his 2019 reading recommendations, called it an incredible and inspiring story. From Tara's story, we suddenly realize freedom and happiness are not found in the starting point of life, but in how we break through the limits, how we reach our inner strength. It is the power of overcoming fear, the first step on the journey to finding oneself. Part 1. Overcoming inner fear. Tara grew up in a remote mountain area in Idaho, where everything seemed to be shrouded in a fog of isolation and doubt. Her father was stubborn and suffered from severe bipolar disorder, and her mother, although once independent in thought, eventually became blindly loyal to her husband's misguided beliefs. Tara's family lived according to a conservative ideology, shunning science, education, and the government, and they had no connections to the outside world. Tara's father was determined to prevent her from attending school, and since she was only 7, she was dragged into hard work at a recycling station, where she once nearly died under the wheels of her own father's truck. That environment, seemingly a different world, was actually a harsh crucible full of fear. Tara witnessed accidents and injuries that her siblings endured, from burns to severed fingers in extreme conditions. Back then, she dreamed that it was a haunted playground where mysterious forces were battling. But now, she realizes it was more like a hell on earth, where fear always lurked in every breath. In addition, Tara had to live in a family filled with violence and gender discrimination. Her brother, with his erratic temperament and violent tendencies, made her live in constant fear. The times when he tormented her, from cruel insults to being forced to dunk her head in a toilet, became horrific memories, like deep knife wounds in her soul, creating scars of insecurity and sensitivity. Tara once had nightmares about being killed by her own brother, and every night that fear would overwhelm her. As one writer once said, when you live in fear, every door closes on you. Indeed, it is not difficult circumstances that defeat us, but rather fear, disappointment, and lack of self-confidence that cause us to fall. It is a low-energy force, suppressed for a long time, unable to be released. These negative emotions distort our perception of the world. But the miracle in Tara's story is that she was not defeated. Despite living under the invisible weight of fear, she stood firm. She understood that fear could not dictate her life. Even though every step was accompanied by anxiety, she was determined to move forward. Though bound in invisible chains, she could still dance. Tara began to find vitality, to find hope, even in the darkest of days. Part 2. Effort in silence. The terrifying echoes from the junkyard, the noise of the family, the brutality of her brother, and the authoritarianism of her father. All of these made Tara want to escape from that dark reality many times. But then, in the depths of despair, when her brother Taylor was accepted into college, that was the only light guiding Tara. The inspiration from her brother ignited a fire within her, making her decide to try pursuing her dream of education. Tara began her silent, patient journey. She quietly studied each lesson, seizing every fragmented moment during the day to learn on her own. Trigonometry and physics, subjects that seemed too distant, became her close friends through long nights. She always believed that beyond the dark door, there would be an orderly, rational world where she could find the freedom she longed for. After her first unsuccessful exam, Tara did not lose heart. She kept trying, overcoming her insecurities step by step, and one day she received an acceptance letter from Brigham Young University. However, at university, new challenges emerged. Tara had never been to school, had no accumulated vocabulary, couldn't write essays, and even the most basic assignments became a nightmare. The questions in class made her feel like a stranger. She was misunderstood as intentionally disruptive and was alienated by her peers and professors. The image of university began to blur, like a mistake. However, although her heart was weak at times, Tara never thought of giving up. She kept fighting, little by little, every day. To pay for her rent, she worked as a janitor at 4 a.m., overcame stomach pains, stayed up late studying, and faced physical pain, even when her brother asked to break her toes. Those harsh challenges could not make her fall. Tara treasured every learning opportunity because she understood its value more than anyone else. Through her perseverance, she graduated with honors and received a master's scholarship at the University of Cambridge. But Tara's journey was not just about studying. It was a process of recreating herself, an ongoing accumulation. Every day she saw herself improving, and gradually, distant dreams became reality. She emerged from a conservative family to become a free scholar, living a life she had chosen for herself. According to Tara, life is a process of constant progress. When you accept learning every day, you get closer to the dreams that once seemed distant. And sometimes, if fate gives you challenges, just silently accumulate, quietly persist, because your enduring efforts will make you shine brightly tomorrow. Your destiny lies in your hands, and you can live a unique life, whether in the midst of a crowd or in the quietest moments. Part 3. Learning to be alone. Loneliness for Tara began when she entered university, where the conflicts between the values formed in a conservative family and the real world became evident. She grew up in a strict environment where things like a girl wearing a short skirt or going to the movies on Sunday were considered immoral acts. She once thought that simple things like washing hands after using the restroom or taking painkillers were wrong. She also stubbornly refused any government assistance, even though she knew she couldn't afford tuition fees. The differences between her and her friends were vast, making Tara always feel out of place, regarded as an oddball. She was lonely, and in that loneliness, she found comfort in books. Through them, Tara gradually began to understand more about modern civilization, bridging the gap between herself and her classmates, and slowly redefined herself. Learning to live normally with herself became the priceless gift she received. Tara realized that being alone was not a punishment, but an opportunity to connect deeply with herself. She gradually became familiar with the feelings of anxiety, and the negative thoughts began to fade, while the chaotic sounds around her also quieted. It was in this loneliness that Tara found her own rhythm, and the silence helped her perceive the world more clearly. She began to question her family, recognize the wrongs, and decide she would no longer remain silent. However, when she shared these discoveries, her parents stubbornly refused to accept them, even going so far as to say she was possessed by demons. They isolated her, but it was also during this time that Tara found her inner strength. She firmly defended the truth she believed in and pursued that belief. Gradually, she started studying great works, from David Hume to John Stuart Mill, and began learning seriously. A year later, she completed the first draft of her thesis and received an acceptance letter from the University of Cambridge. This was a crucial turning point as she began to build a new life, no longer haunted by the confusion and loneliness of the past years. But success never comes easily. Behind every achievement lies the loneliness and hardships that only those who experience them can understand. Loneliness, in Tara's eyes, is not the suffering that makes one want to give up, but a deep awakening. It is like an incredible power that comes from silence, a strength that helps her soar to her own sky. Ordinary people may seek noise to fill the emptiness, but those who understand the value of loneliness use it to achieve great successes. Life, like the steps in the silent days, allows you to accumulate an immense energy. You do not need to live according to the desires of everyone, nor seek acceptance from anyone. You can completely live alone, quietly refining yourself, and that is the best way to live for your present. Part 4. Letting Go of Attachments. There is a saying by Wen that Tara always remembers. When the mind is expanded, it will never return to its original narrow state. And it was true. Tara underwent an inner rebirth, a journey from which there was no turning back. While she moved forward, her relatives remained silent, unchanged. Every time Tara tried to point out the violent aspects of her brother, her father would scold her for disturbing the family, and her mother would remain silent, not saying a word. Soon, the phone calls from her brother continued, shouting, insulting, and even threatening to hire someone to kill her. Under this pressure, with the continuous favoritism of her parents, Tara felt as if she was being pushed further away from her own family. Her sister also chose to sever all ties, while she was considered to be possessed by demons, controlled by Satan, and the one who destroyed the family. However, there was a strange and contradictory thing. Even though her parents had completely opposing views to Tara's, they still wanted her to return, still longed for her rebirth. This was the love her parents had for her, a love that, although distorted, still existed, never fading. Tara did not want to sever that blood connection because family is where everything becomes hard to distinguish between right and wrong. But then, Tara realized that she was no longer the girl she once was, while her parents remained unchanged. She had to face a great contradiction within herself, a deep separation between the past and the present. For a long time, she fell into a state of inner turmoil, mental collapse, and lack of confidence. She paralyzed herself, living in anxiety, crying and laughing wildly, running outside late at night, and screaming. However, through the process of self-learning and new awareness, Tara realized that separating herself from her family was an inevitable step, an essential part of her journey to maturity. At times, in family relationships, separation is necessary, even if it is a painful inner struggle. After everything, Tara understood that letting go did not mean giving up, but accepting a change in order to live true to herself. In the end, she found peace in her heart and bravely said goodbye to her parents. She understood that no matter how much we love someone, sometimes we must let them go in order to live true to who we really are. Tara learned that there are people who are not meant to stay in our lives, but they can still exist in our memories and hearts in a way that no longer harms us. There is a kind of love reserved only for memories, a love that does not necessarily require closeness. Sometimes we just need to keep those feelings from a distance so that the longing becomes like a gentle breeze, quiet and unhurried. Just like when the sun is too bright, we only need to turn around and find peace under the moonlight. This does not mean forgetting the warmth and light of the sun, but learning to embrace what comes from afar so that our souls are not burned by things that cannot be grasped. Only when we let go of attachments can we build a new life, a stronger life from within ourselves. Tara, after all the pain, dared to step out of the darkness of her family and into an open world, where she found her true self through learning and growth. It was a journey of self-renewal, like a pearl, where only when the wound is nurtured can it turn into a precious gem. Life is not always easy. There are times when the trees are heavy with fruit, and other times they are barren and desolate. But everything can be reborn if we learn to let go and quietly, persistently rebuild ourselves. When we learn to live alone, when we continuously explore our inner selves, we can find who we truly are. And only when we overcome fear, when we hold on to hope in the face of adversity, can we find true happiness and the courage to exist. Thank you for listening. If you find these shares helpful, please give a like and share them with those who need it. Be sure to follow and turn on notifications so you don't miss the latest videos from KA Radio. Finally, I hope that both you and I can turn life's difficulties into inner strength so that even when we face bitterness, we continue moving forward, steady in our own journey.